Friday, we just went over some of the key points of the chapter. Today, I just want to jump right into working some problems based upon some stuff we talked about Friday. I know we just hit the surface on Friday. So today, we're going to be working out of the back of chapter 6. And we might jump to the PowerPoints a little bit today and a little bit more later in the week. But today, I want to kind of just work on applying some of this theory. So the end of chapter 6, we'll start on page 320 with the practice exercises. The first one that I want to do is just practice exercise 6-1A with gross profit. Does everyone have their book with them, or does someone need to take a picture of it? In the picture. So everyone has a copy of it. I'll put it up on the screen here as well. And I'll give you a few minutes, and then we'll just review over it and we'll just keep working through it. Once again, it's problem 6-1A. It's on the screen as well.
I only get like 2 to 3 days a week, but usually I get sick home and I do stuff like that.
How's everyone doing on this one?
Yeah,
Y'all ready to talk about the first one? Okay, so for the first one, we're dealing with gross profit, right? What exactly is gross profit again? Right, so the difference between what you bought merchandise for and what you sold it for, right? So let's look at the first one here with the 61A. So it says during the current year, merchandise is sold for $366,100 cash and 1.42 million on account. The cost of this merchandise sold is $1,014,300. So it says what is the amount of the gross profit based upon these numbers? Does anyone have an answer to it already? What you got? Right, and how did you get that?
I did the merchandise sold with a balance on that account, and I subtracted from the merchandise, the cost of the merchandise.
Right, everyone seeing that? So we just take the 366 100, add the 1.42 million on account, and then back out what we bought it for. Okay, and that'll give us our 771,800. Everyone seeing that? So there's no difference between whether we collect the cash or an account receivable, right? That's all part of our sales revenue, and then we back out what we spent to purchase the merchandise with, right? Okay, so there's the gross profit. Next, work on problem or practice exercise 6-3A, dealing with sales transactions. Okay, and this time I want you all to make the journal entries that are relevant for this. 6-3A at the very bottom of the page right here.
I really want the two in and then the end of whatever it is or something. Why are you doing this one? It's 2%.
So the N30 is first, you have 30 days to pay before.
Oh, yeah.
That's
And then the
also-
two in is the 2% within the 10 days if you don't pay this one. And then you can spend it to sales, and then we have like the cost of original sales for what's it cost of original sales? What page is it? Which one? So the Greeks one. And then the merchandise sort of account for 6,000, so we'll do debit first and then credit.
Or you can get 29 at a time for the first amount. Or do you want to?
Everyone ready to go ahead and talk about this one? All right, let's go over this one, okay? So we're just dealing with the sales transaction, right? Dealing with terms of discounts, okay? Remember we talked about these discounts. So it says journalize the following merchandise transactions, all right? It said that we sold merchandise on account for $94,800 with the terms of 210 net 30. What does 210 net 30 mean? What is it? That's the discount terms, right? So what does 210 mean? What is it? 2% within 10 days, right? So if you pay within 10 days of the purchase date, you get 2% off the lowest price, right? The N30 is net 30 days, so they still want their payment the full amount within 30 days, right? So that's what the trade terms mean. So it says the cost of the merchandise sold was $56,900. So let's just look at this one here. So the first thing we want to do. Okay, we sold the merchandise on account for $94,800. Okay, so let's record this receivable net of the discount. Okay, so what would be net of the discount based on the $94,800? What is net of the discount of $210 on $94,800? Be $94,800 times 0.98, right? Right, or 94.8 minus 94.8 times 0.02. Either way you want to go about it, right? So we just want 98% of that value, right? So we're going to have an accounts receivable of $92,904, okay? And how do we find the $92,904 again? Right, 94.8 times, if you do times 2%, we have to back that out of the 94.8, right? Because we're receiving 98% of that amount. Okay? So what's the credit to the accounts receivable? Sales, right? Does that entry make sense to everybody? We sold the merchandise, net of the discount, so we're gonna receive $92,904. So we set up the account receivable to receive payment in the future. We credit sales to account for the revenue we earned from the sale, right? Everyone good on that? What's the second end of this entry? It says the cost of the merchandise sold was $56,900. So what journal entry do we have to make to account for the merchandise being sold?
The cost of merchandise sold.
Do what?
Or the cost of the merchandise sold
Right. So what would be the entry for that?
would be debited.
Debit to the cost of merchandise sold? Right. So we're going to do the cost of, I'm just going to do cost of goods sold, okay, for the cost of merchandise sold. And it's going to be for the $56,900. So if we debit the cost of merchandise sold, so if we debit the cost of merchandise sold, what's the credit? Right. Why are we crediting the inventory? Why are we crediting merchandise inventory right there? It's right, but why are we doing it? To what? Right, to reduce it, right? Because that's reducing the carrying amount on the balance sheet. This incurs the expense on the income statement, and then the merchandise inventory, that reduces it on the balance sheet. That makes sense to everybody? So we record our receivable and credit the sales, and we also incur the cost of goods sold and reduce our inventory. Okay? This is a balance sheet account. Your accounts receivable is increasing. Income statement account, increasing revenue at the top of your income statement. Income statement amount, where this is cost of goods sold right underneath sales, setting up our gross profit. This is a balance sheet account. It's reducing our inventory. Everyone following that? Okay, for part B, it says we receive payment less the discount. So what would that be? Cash is going to be our debit, right? For the 92,904, because we recorded it net, right? So cash is coming in, balance sheet account, increasing cash, right? And what's the credit? Accounts receivable, right? And once again, that's just reducing the balance sheet account as well. Both of these are balance sheet accounts. Notice that when we collect the money, they're both balance sheet accounts. It does not affect income at all. We've already accounted for the income up here on the sale. Now we're just merely moving the composition of assets, okay? Meaning cash is increasing, accounts receivable is decreasing. Overall position of the company has not changed from that entry. We're merely just, the composition of assets has changed. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. What about C? It says we issued a $500 credit memo for damaged merchandise. The customer agreed to keep the merchandise. So what's the entry we need to do on that? Okay, so what we want to do is debit a customer refund payable. For the amount of $500. Okay, and if we're reducing the payable on that, okay, because it says here, issued a $500 credit memo for damaged merchandise. Okay, so the merchandise was damaged, right? So we're reducing the amount that a customer owes us, right? So if we debited the customer refund payable, what would we have to credit if we're reducing the amount the customer owes us? Accounts receivable, right? Because that keeps it intact of what the customer owes us. So when we give them a credit memo, that's the entry to accomplish that. So we would credit the AR to bring it down to the right balance of what they owe us to give them credit for that memo. Does that make sense to everybody? Huh? Oh. Does this problem make sense to everybody? Everyone's good on it? Okay, the next one I want us to work on is practice exercise 6.4a, and this is dealing with freight terms. Remember with FOB, shipping point FOB destination, the one that I confused everyone on Friday. Once again, it's the one up top here. Does anyone need me to take a picture of it, or let someone take a picture of it first? talk about this one real quick?
Subtract it. No, I took this right here, plus that first.
Okay, so we're dealing with freight terms, right? Let's just start off with talking about what are the freight terms? What's the difference between FOB shipping point and FOB destination? Right, so if we're purchasing an item from a supplier and the terms are FOB shipping point, then when the goods are in transit, then we're responsible for it, right? Because it's from the point in which it was shipped. Okay, so then we're going to be responsible for paying for that freight. On the other hand, if it was FOB destination when we purchased a good from a supplier, then the supplier is going to be responsible for it while it's in transit because it's till it reaches the destination. Okay.
You said the supplier.
The supplier would be responsible if the terms are FOB destination. Okay? FOB shipping point, the purchaser is responsible because it's at the point it leaves that point of the docks, okay? The shipping docks. All right? So that starts out with the shipping points here. Once again, we see the terms of the sale with the discounts, right? 110 net 30, so they're going to give us a 1% discount if we pay within 10 days of the transaction. We want the full amount paid within a net of 30 days if they forego the discount period, okay? Same thing here, 2% off within 10 days of the transaction price. We want the full payment within 30 days, okay? So everyone's good on the difference between shipping point and destination and the credit terms, right? Okay, so the first thing it says here is we purchase merchandise for $120,800, okay? Then it says here, freight paid by the seller was $1,300. The freight terms FOB shipping point, 110 net 30, and here's the credit for refunds and allowances is $20,000, $20,100. Okay. So what amount are we going to record this purchase of this merchandise for right here? It says too that prior to payment that all invoices were paid within the discount period. Okay. So if all returns and allowances and all discounts were paid within that discount period, what would be the amount that we want to record this amount of the purchase for? What would be our purchasing amount? Okay, so we bought it for $120,800, right? So that's what we purchased the merchandise for. That's how much the base cost is minus any of the terms, right? So they're saying they paid within the discount. So the same thing we just did with the discount in the previous problem. We want to take out whatever the discount is. It's 1%. So $120,800. Okay, the quickest way to take out the discount to get the net value is going to be $120,800 times 0.99. Okay, is everyone seeing that? Because it's a 1%. It's a 1% discount. So the math behind it, just to show you the math, 120,800, and it's going to be times 1 minus 0.01. Okay, which is going to be 0.99. All right. So that's gonna give us what our net purchase amount is, okay? Of $119,592. Does everyone understand why I just multiplied 120,800 by 0.99? Because the terms, we're going to take a 1% discount within 10 days, right? They paid the discount, paid within the discount period, so they received the discount. So if we're taking 1% off, then we want 99% of the value of that gross value, right? So that's the quickest way to do it, is just multiply it by 1 minus whatever the discount is, okay? Everyone see that? Okay, next. Remember we have the allowances, the credit for refunds and allowances up here, $20,100. We have to pay attention to what the discount was for this as well because it was taken within those terms. So the 20,100 also has to be reduced by the 1% discount. So once again, we'll just do 20,100 times 0.99. Does that make sense to everybody? Is everyone seeing that? So we apply the discount to the net purchase price right here. Okay, that gives us $119,592. We do the same thing with our discount there of the 20,100. We multiply it by 0.99 because the discount applies to the allowance as well, okay? So that's going to leave us with $19,899. Okay, so is that, those two steps make sense to everybody? Overall amount, back out the 1% discount. We accomplished that with this right here, 120 times 0.99. We have the credit for refunds and allowances of 20,100. We apply that to the discount as well to get 19,899. What's the last item we have to account for? Look at the shipping terms. So if it's FOB shipping point, who's responsible for paying for the shipping? The buyer is, right? Because if it's FOB shipping point, from the point it's shipped, then the sellers already relieved their responsibilities, right? So we have to add the freight. Even though they paid up front, we have to reimburse them for the freight, right? Because it says here the freight was paid by the seller, but it's FOB shipping point, so we need to reimburse them for the freight. So what we're going to do is take this amount, the gross amount that we purchased the inventory by, less the 1% discount, which is this right here, okay? The allowance, the 20,100, we add that, okay? Minus the discount. And then we add the freight of 1,300 because it's shipping point. So it's going to be the amount paid less the discount, right? Minus the returns, the amount we've got here, plus the freight of your 1,300. Does that make sense to everybody? So long and short, what I know that would sound really confusing. Long and short, we purchased merchandise for $120,800, right? The terms of the sale said if we paid them within 10 days that we could take a 1% discount, right? So we paid them within the 10 days, so we're going to take that discount. So really, our merchandise is only going to be the $120,800 times 0.99 because we take that discount. Okay? Well, the allowance we also have to account for, right? We have to back that out, but we have to take away the discount out of that as well. So we're just applying the same process that we applied to the overall merchandise price to the allowance. We back that out from the merchandise cost. Then we have to add the price of the freight because it's FOB shipping point. So we have to add $1,300. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, let's look at the next one here and just talk about it for a second. So this one we bought merchandise, $147,700.
So what was the final number?
The final number is $100,993. Did anyone get that?
Yeah, I did.
$100,993. Good job. Okay, the next one we bought merchandise at $147,700. The discount on this one is $210 net 30. We paid within the discount, so we're going to take 2% off of this price. So $147,700 times 0.98. Everyone seeing the 0.98 there? The 2%. So $147,700 times 0.98. Then we want to back out the credit for refunds and allowances, which would be $11,400 times 0.98, because we have to apply the discount to this as well. And on this case, that's it, because it's FOB destination, so we don't owe anything on shipping because the seller is responsible because it's FOB destination. So pretty much this whole problem just wants you to be familiar with applying discounts and who's responsible for paying the freight. long and short. And it's, I know it seems hard, but it's really easy. You just take the gross amount, back out the discount, back out your allowance after you account for the discount, and then you have to determine whether you owe the freight or not based upon the shipping terms. Makes
What's
sense
the
to
final answer for A?
For A, it's $100,993. For B, it's $133,574. Everyone okay with the difference between FOB destination, FOB shipping point? Is everyone good on trade terms with the 210 net 30 or whatever the terms might be? Because that's really all the question's asking you for. They just want you to apply the discount to the terms, to the actual merchandise cost, to the allowance, and then determine who's responsible for the freight. Okay? So that's it for today. Obviously, we're going to work through more problems and talk about some of the theories some more on Wednesday. I'll be posting the homework and the quiz this afternoon. I'll make sure everyone has enough time to work through those.
How about the answer for B? You said, what was the answer for B?
Answer to B was $133,574.